Good evening, ghosts. Welcome. Welcome back to the Moonlit livestream. Tonight, we investigate one of America's most chilling, unsolved murder cases, the Axeman of New Orleans. Between 1918 and 1919, a killer broke into homes while families slept, murdered them with their own axes, and vanished into the night. Before I continue with this story, if it's not apparent already, this is a dark one. It's very sad and very scary. So let's try to be respectful and just take this one step at a time. There was no clear motive, no fingerprints, no arrests. The killer seemed almost untouchable, and for many residents, almost supernatural. Tonight, you and I go through the entire record, the confirmed attacks, the legal failures, the forensic shortcomings, the suspects, the cultural impact, and the infamous letter claiming the killer was a demon from the hottest of hell. Everything here is factual, sourced, and documented. Let's begin. Before we get into Chapter 2, we've already got a couple comments from Jeepers the Night Stalker. What's up, dude? Thanks for joining the live stream. As of right now, I do this Monday through Friday every evening. So I try to choose an interesting story that will be good for a live reading, and yeah, let's have some fun. Thanks for joining. Oh, he says, love your videos. Thank you so much. I am trying to rebuild. I had some crazy life happenings going on, and I was absent from YouTube for a couple years. And it's almost harder rebuilding a defunct channel than it is building it up in the first place. So I appreciate all of the support, everything. I just am so grateful for fans like you. Thank you. Chapter 2. New Orleans in 1918, 1919, the stage for a nightmare. New Orleans in 1918 was a mixture of poverty, immigration, post-war anxiety, and limited law enforcement resources. Italian grocers were a large, visible community, and many would soon become victims. At this point in history, forensic science was primitive, police were understaffed, newspapers sensationalized crime, rumors often outpaced evidence. This was the backdrop into which the Axeman emerged. Chapter 3, Timeline of the Axeman Attacks. Below is the verified timeline of the Axeman's confirmed or strongly suspected crimes. The Maggio attack, May 23, 1918. Joseph and Catherine Maggio are found with their throats cut by a razor and skulls crushed with an axe. Nothing is stolen. The Schneider attack, June 27, 1918. Pregnant Anna Schneider is bludgeoned. She survives, but she cannot describe her attacker. The Romano attack, August 5th, 1918. Joseph Romano is mortally wounded. Neighbors see a shadowy figure fleeing. And then there's a 6-month gap. Fear rises in the community, and newspapers speculate wildly. The Court Miglia attack, March 10th, 1919. This family is brutally assaulted. Only the child dies. Rosie Cortmiglia's later accusation and retraction became a major investigative failure. Then there was the Axeman letter, March 13th, 1919. The letter appears in newspapers. We will read that in full in Chapter 7. The Orlando attack, August 10th, 1919. Steve Boca is attacked and survives with memory loss. The Pepitone attack, October 1919. Mike Pepitone is murdered. This is widely believed to be the Axeman's final crime, because then there was silence. Before we get into Chapter 4, how the Axeman operated his modus operandi, we're going to jump to the Patreon pitch shout out because we've got some sweet news. Patreon cam right here. So we have a new patron. We've got an apparition. Jordan, I just want to shout out Jordan. I think I'm pronouncing this right. Quinlisk. That's a sweet name, dude. Thank you for supporting me on Patreon. Since you joined as an apparition, you have 4 names in the Moonlit chest right here. So anytime in a video I draw a name from the chest, you're more likely to have your name shouted out. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's get back to the main scene. And another comment from Jeepers. He says, I first found your channel when you used to debunk ghost videos. Those were good work. I want to take a little sidebar because I loved doing that. That was that was so fun. However, let me just address that a little bit. That was kind of why I started the Moonlit Ghost, because I believe in the supernatural. I believe it. I've seen ghosts with my very waking eyes. It's true, it's all real. But what I saw on the internet, all over the internet, on YouTube channels, is people just sensationalizing this and faking things, and things aren't real. And it created this kind of terrible paradigm where I know that this is real, but these channels are making people think everything's fake. And so I started just debunking this, and a lot of people thought that I was a skeptic. Well, I am a skeptic, but I also believe. It's kind of a funny thing. I want to know the truth. I want to know the truth. That's really what my goal was. So I was making those, and I really want to keep doing those videos, but it's so time consuming. And what I was getting out of those videos in terms of growth for the channel, I could research a topic, I could research a video for like a month. I was doing this channel like full time, on top of my full-time job, trying to debunk things, and it was very stressful. But I enjoyed doing it, so I appreciate the love and you shouting that out. It is hard to find real stuff, and so this is a good time in interjection here to talk about my overarching goal doing these live streams. Go to the moonlitarchive.com. It's in its brand new stages. Link in the description of this video. I am trying to document everything, every strange story that's ever happened. It's a massive project, but I'm going to work on it in my spare time. I want it to be the Wikipedia of unsolved mysteries. And I want people to create case files for any ghost video they see. Everything you see on Nuke's Top 5, any of these YouTube channels, if it's purported to be true, I want a case file on my website so people can, as a community, discuss the legitimacy of it. Thank you for your comments. Let's get back to the Axeman. Chapter 4, how the Axeman operated, modus operandi. Across all attacks, consistent patterns appeared. 1. The entry by the Axeman into people's homes was by removing a back door panel. A small wooden panel was chiseled out of the doors, allowing someone to reach in or slip through. 2. The Axeman used the victim's own tools. He didn't have his own weapon. The killer rarely brought his own weapon. He used the homeowner's axes or razors. 3. There was no theft. Money and valuables were untouched. This was not burglary. Nighttime attacks. Victims were almost always asleep. Silent escapes. Only a single shadowy figure was ever seen during all of these attacks. This indicates a planned, practiced method. Chapter 5, the failed police investigation. Why couldn't police catch him? Misinterpreting the crimes. 1. Misinterpreting the crimes. Early detectives treated the attacks as robberies gone wrong, despite no theft occurring. 2. Organized crime theory. Because many victims were Italian, police suspected the mafia or Black Hand organization. But mob hits don't leave survivors and don't use random tools. Detective John D'Antonio rejected this theory. Number 3, there was no real forensic process. Crime scenes were contaminated by crowds. Fingerprinting was inconsistent at the time. Number 4, reliance on traumatized eyewitnesses. The court Miglia false accusation shows how unreliable statements were under duress. Number 5, public panic overshadowed evidence. The letter, the jazz frenzy, the mass hysteria all drowned out rational investigation. Chapter 6, who was the Axeman? The major suspects. Theory 1, a single serial killer. Most historians agree this is the most likely explanation. It was a consistent method, same victim type, and geographic clustering. There was a theory 2, it was the mob or Black Hand involvement. Popular at the time, but contradicted by nearly every forensic pattern. Theory 3, multiple killers or copycats. Inconsistencies in weapon use and violence levels raise this possibility. Theory 4 is that it wasn't an axe man, but it was an axe woman. Some researchers note the small door panels could accommodate a slim adult. Just a theory, but there's no evidence to back this up. Theory 5, it was a mentally ill transient. This explains the consistency, randomness, and sudden disappearance. None were ever proven. No one was ever arrested. Chapter 7. This is the full Axeman letter. This was published in a newspaper at the time. This letter is crazy. Imagine reading something like this in a newspaper today. On March 13th, this is the letter. On March 13th, 1919, the Times-Picayune published a letter claiming to be from the killer. It is one of the strangest documents in American criminal history. Here is a complete, unaltered text. It's titled, Hell, March 13th, 1919. It begins, Esteemed mortal, they have never caught me and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible, even as the ether that surrounds your earth. I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman. When I see fit, I shall come and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue except my bloody axe, besmeared with blood and brains of whom I have sent below to keep me company. If you wish, you may tell the police to be careful not to rile me. Of course, I am a reasonable spirit. I take no offense at the way they have conducted their investigation in the past. In fact, they have been so utterly stupid as to not only amuse me, but His Satanic Majesty, Francis Joseph, etc. But tell them to beware. Let them not try discover what I am. For it were better that they were never born than to incur the wrath of the Axeman. I don't think there is any need of such a warning, for I feel sure the police will always dodge me, as they have in the past. They are wise and know how to keep away from all harm. Undoubtedly, you Orleanians think of me as a most horrible murderer, which I am, but I could be much worse if I wanted to. If I wished, I could pay a visit to your city every night. At will, I could slay thousands of your best citizens, and the worst, for I am in close relation with the angel of death. Now, to be exact, at 12:15 o'clock Earth time on next Tuesday night, I am going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I am going to make a little proposition to the people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music. This is an interjection from me. This is real. This is really what the letter from the supposed killer said. This is crazy. He says, I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. If everyone has a jazz band going, well, then, so much the better for the people. One thing is certain, and that is that some of your people who do not jazz it out on that specific Tuesday night, if there be any, will get the axe. Well, as I am cold and crave the warmth of my native Tartarus, and it is about time I leave your earth, I will cease my discourse, hoping that thou wilt publish this, that it may go well with thee. I have been, am, and will be the worst spirit that ever existed either in fact or realm of fancy. Signed, the Axeman. Chapter 8. Before we get to chapter 8, I'm gonna do a quick. I shouted out the new patron, but we're gonna do a Patreon Moonlit Chest shout out right here with this cam. We're just gonna tilt this open. We're gonna pull out a name, and it's Peter Schnebley. Thank you, Peter Schnebley, for supporting me on Patreon. Go support me on Patreon and get your name in the Moonlit Chest. Sorry you had to be shouted out after such a letter from the Axeman, demonic spirit. That's kind of crazy. Maybe I chose the wrong time to do that, but it's okay. We're gonna keep going. Chapter 8, the night New Orleans played jazz for its life. On March 19th, 1919, the city exploded into music. Families hired musicians, bars overflowed, jazz poured from windows, people danced in fear and desperation, and that night, no one was killed. Historians believe the letter was likely a hoax, however, by a literate prankster or musician, but the effect, nonetheless, was real. It became one of the most surreal public responses to a serial killer in history. Chapter 9, Paranormal Lore, documented as folklore. Because the letter invoked demons, spirits, and hell, the Axeman quickly became a ghost story. Folklore claims include that the Axeman was a demon, purely based on the letter, no evidence. Shadow sightings, reported by tour guides and paranormal storytellers, not specific police reports. But New Orleans is one of the most haunted places on Earth, not just the Axeman, but there's a lot of crazy history there. A lot of voodoo and witchcraft and ghost stories. Number 3, jazz as spiritual protection. Because no one was killed on jazz night, some believe music kept the Axeman away. These are all legends, not forensic claims. Chapter 10, why the case remains unsolved. There was no fingerprints, no murder weapon traceable, because he used the tools from the people's houses that he broke into. There was no surviving suspect that could remember anything, no confession, confused news reports, vanishing offenders. The killer simply stopped. Like many serial killers who die, move, or burn out. Without additional crimes or modern forensic evidence, the case is functionally unresolvable today. This story likely will never be solved. Could have just been one of the millions of random people on the earth. The Axeman's legacy. Today, the Axeman is a symbol of fear, of jazz, of mystery, and of the way legend can consume history. He appears in books, TV shows, music, horror films, true crime podcasts, New Orleans ghost tours. His story has become a cultural artifact. So who was the Axeman? A lone killer, a copycat duo, a deranged drifter, a literal hoax amplified by hysteria, or the demonic figure he claimed to be? We may never know, but the fear he left behind still echoes in the jazz, in the history, and now here in the Moonlit archive. Drop your thoughts in the chat. Your theories help build this channel and this archive. And remember, some mysteries refuse to die. That's the story that we have tonight. Stories like this are just, they're so heartbreaking. They're so terrifying because it just makes you think, like, I guess no one is safe. And it's kind of unfortunate. I hope everybody is safe evening. I don't want anything like this to happen, but I don't want people to forget that these things have happened, because the victims of these stories, they're real people, and their stories deserve to be told, and they don't deserve to be forgotten. And I truly believe that someday, if not in this world, with our physical abilities to solve these types of cold cases, I believe one day justice and mercy will be bestowed upon everybody. All things will be made right. This really is just a show. I'm just kind of riffing right now. I appreciate it. Looks like we had 3 concurrent viewers. I am going to spend the remaining hours of this night working on my website and working on a couple video ideas. Maybe I will go back to some debunking. I'm really thinking about doing that. Jeepers. That'll be fun. I just want to say thank you for tuning in, everybody. I'm going to end it here. Tune in tomorrow night for the Friday night story, which I haven't chosen yet, but it'll be fun. Thank you for showing up, and have a good, safe night, free of any Axeman. The Moonlit Ghost. Out.